Before 2026, the white-collar world ran on a heavy, relentless rhythm. We built an entire system purely on processing. We measured professional worth in sheer endurance. Success meant entering data, drafting routine paperwork, and building the exact same chart for the 100th time. We mistook pure repetition for value. On January 30th, 2026, the technology reached a tipping point. AI shifted from an isolated chatbot into a teammate capable of executing actual work, triggering a systemic shock the industry called the SaaSpocalypse. This timeline tracks human-executed routine tasks. As AI takes over the work itself, the human workload collapses in a single week. For careers built on these tasks, it felt like heat rising through the floorboards, their professional foundations simply vanishing. The arrival of AI acted as a silent solvent, dissolving the old rules of professional survival. Walk through an office a few weeks later, and the physical space looked the same, but the people who were thriving had completely shifted their behavior. These survivors recognized a harsh truth early on. Trying to work twice as hard to keep pace was useless. They quietly stopped competing with the machines. You could see this clearly in the legal department. Their old rhythm was a daily grind of endlessly drafting, checking, and rechecking non-disclosure agreements and basic contracts. Look at this comparison of drafting volume. The system could compress a year's worth of traditional paperwork into a single week. The successful lawyers moved up a level, designing the logic, compliance rules, and safety parameters the system followed. They kept control over the genuinely human part of a hard negotiation, the emotional nuance and high-stakes maneuvering that machines cannot feel their way through. In the legal sector, human value permanently migrated. People stopped producing paperwork and began producing legal judgment. Down the hall, data analysts faced a similar reality. For years, their job was wrestling messy information into readable dashboards, answering the basic question of how to see the data. Once the intelligence could clean the databases and draw the charts on its own, the question of how became obsolete. Here, data organization becomes automatic. Analysts stopped reporting on the past and began projecting forward, pointing leadership toward the next strategic move. They tied cold machine patterns to unpredictable lived market experience, connecting insight to reach a final decision. This shift rippled across the entire office ecosystem. Professional success now relies on deciding what the work should be, rather than doing it. Pull back from the individual departments, and a macroeconomic truth emerges. Raw intelligence, the ability to process information, is now cheap, instant, and ubiquitous. As the supply of raw information processing becomes infinite, the market value of that labor plummets toward zero. The new scarcity is human judgment, the willingness to make a hard call when the machine cannot. The machine has arrived to execute the labor. There is no going back to the era of the hands. Survival requires stepping away from the keyboard and finding the courage to decide which work is worth doing at all.